Natalie Cox, again, Corporate Communications Director for EQT Corporation, one of two companies that are involved in the Mountain Valley Pipeline project. Natalie, great to have you.
Hey, John, thanks so much for having me on this Monday morning after the Super Bowl. And congratulations on your launch into the Roanoke market. That's awesome.
We've heard a lot of negative publicity about this pipeline project, mainly, Natalie, from a small but vocal crowd of kind of anti-pipeline people that are opposed to just about anything environmental-wise. But we haven't heard a lot from why you're proposing this project and what it would actually, how it would actually benefit Southwest Virginia. Could you take a few minutes and kind of outline that for us?
Sure. So it was mid-2014, my company, EQT Corporation, formed a partnership with NextEra Energy. They're based out of Florida. The joint venture, known as Mountain Valley Pipeline, was kind of created in response to the growing demand by consumers and power producers in the southeast region of the U.S. for clean-burning natural gas. So in recent years, there's been this huge supply of natural gas coming from the Marcellus and Utica regions, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio. And at the same time, there's been this huge growth in demand for natural gas down in your region. Mm-hmm. And that's, I would say, primarily due to population growth and also many of the electric utilities, right, including Appalachian Power, are beginning to convert their facilities from coal gen to clean-burning natural gas. Mm-hmm.
Now, when you talk about bringing natural gas, it's beyond just the energy that goes with it. You think of, well, my gasoline will go down or my energy will go down, but really what you're talking about is manufacturing and jobs, because people open up businesses and they open up plants where they can obtain energy, right? And if there's no energy, they don't have the manufacturing. If there's no manufacturing, there's no jobs. Doesn't it all tie in?
Yeah, definitely. It all ties in. So if you even start with the project itself,
right?
Mountain Valley Pipeline is expected to support thousands of jobs, have major economic activity, and significant tax revenues during the construction phases. And over the long term, perhaps this is most important, especially for Virginia, is we hope this project will serve as a magnet for economic development across the entire region. We've had lots of conversations with local economic development officials, and I mean, it's quite clear that access to natural gas is critically important to the region's ability to attract employers and good-paying jobs to the region.
Now, Natalie, the Times, the Roanoke Times, had a story the other day that said your company and Roanoke Gas are in deliberations to potentially bring natural gas service to Franklin County for the first time ever. Now, the county, Franklin County, right now has exactly 0 gas service. 0. And Franklin County's also lost out on several employers in the past, 36 months because they can't bring the company's access to gas. So I would think that this pipeline would be a tremendous asset for Franklin, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So first thing to understand is Mountain Valley Pipeline is an interstate open access transmission pipeline. Now, what that means is that businesses, parties who want to ship and receive gas have a right to access that pipeline. So what we're doing, we're currently working with local distribution companies, we call them LDCs, such as Roanoke Gas, because those companies have the legal authority from the state of Virginia to provide gas service to communities along the route. So what we want to do is have the ability to bring gas service to Franklin County. And through working with the LDCs, our commercial department is looking at lots of different opportunities along the route to be able to bring gas service.
What are we just talking in terms of dollars, in terms of economic activity? Because this is, there's a lot of hyperbole, Natalie, on this two sides of the pipeline, one way or the other. I mean, let's just talk dollars. What would be the economic impact in, say, Franklin, Roanoke, of bringing the pipeline through Virginia?
So there's two ways to look at this. So there's the construction phase, and then there's the in-service once the pipeline is operational. So during the construction phase, of course, very positive economic impact in the communities across Virginia. Labor, although some of it is highly specialized, there will also be plenty of job opportunities for local residents and local contractors. And then once the pipeline is operational, which right now we're anticipating late fourth quarter of 2018, pending all of the regulatory approvals.
Right.
Franklin County alone, from property taxes paid, would serve to gain approximately $1.9 million just in Franklin County, another $1.6 million in Roanoke, and another $1.5 million for Montgomery. And that's every year for as long as the pipeline is operating.
So that would just go on and on and on. These are areas, almost 2 million, Franklin County, over 1.5 million, Roanoke County, 1.5 million, Montgomery County, going on and on and on. What on earth could be the argument to stop this? I mean, this just doesn't make any sense. I mean, those are huge numbers.
So, yeah, I mean, I would agree. And I guess what we have to remember, though, there were lots of concerns, right, from community members, landowners, who maybe don't understand all of the benefits that bringing natural gas into the region would have. And, not just financially in property taxes, but that economic growth, the potential for job creation, the potential to attract manufacturers and bigger businesses. It's just, we obviously see it as a win-win all around.
Mm-hmm. I'm not in the industry. I'm a layman, but it would seem to me that transporting it in a pipeline 3 feet under the ground is safer than a train or truck, right?
Absolutely. So, National Transportation Safety Board and the U.S. Department of Transportation both cite that natural gas pipelines have the best safety record of any energy delivery system in the U.S.
Right. So the opposition to this pipeline stems around basically, yeah, it's a good idea, but I don't want it going through my county, my city, my area, my backyard, whatever. So it's kind of like, NIBY, not in my backyard or whatever that is. Natalie, I've heard a lot of misinformation about how this pipeline is just going to take over people's private property. It's not going to compensate them. Everybody's going to get screwed. But reality, that's nonsense. Look, eminent domain only comes into play 2% of the time in the state of Virginia. The other 98% of the time, it's negotiated because you guys negotiate with landowners to pay them a fair price that everybody agrees on. And it's the same process we do to build roads, sewer, water lines, power lines, right?
Absolutely. So first thing to remember is an easement doesn't transfer the title of the land from the property owner. It merely grants us permission to use that land for the purpose as stated in the agreement, in which case this would be Mountain Valley Pipeline. So to establish that easement across a landowner's property, a fair value is determined based on the market value and actual number of acres that are required for that project. So every landowner has a different amount of acres that would be associated with the proposed route. So each landowner keeps their ownership and use of his or her land.
Right.
And there's also additional compensation for any disturbance to crops or timber structures, livestock. So all of that is taken into consideration during the negotiation phase.
Now, what about this argument that farmers won't be able to farm their land and livestock will be displaced? What about that?
So overall, pipeline easements across the U.S. allow light vehicles, which includes farm equipment, to cross the pipelines with no extra precautions whatsoever. But during the negotiations, landowners can include provisions that allow them to use their land for activities as they are currently using them today. For instance, if the property is currently used for agricultural purposes, those activities can continue well after the pipeline is constructed.
I'm totally perplexed by these environmental wackos that, once again, it doesn't matter what you're trying to do. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do. They're opposed to it. And they made it impossible for us to utilize coal in the United States. They've had that war. Now we're using natural gas instead. It's cleaner. It's got half the carbon emissions. It's got none of the other air problems that they complain about coal. But now they don't want to use the gas either. I mean, this just doesn't make any sense to me. You can't energize the country on wind, okay? It just doesn't make any sense. We got to get real. Natural gas is the cleanest fuel we have that can power a country with 300 million people. You can't do it on windmills. It's ridiculous. Now, there's environmental benefits of natural gas, obviously, but the end of the day is we've got to get the energy somewhere. The pipes are under the ground. They're not displacing livestock. You can still farm on them. Am I wrong?
No, actually you have it bang on. So many years ago, coal was obviously the go-to choice for energy. But now what we're seeing is this natural gas revolution, right? We're producing all of this natural gas domestically. Far less reliability on imports for our energy now. So this shift to natural gas.
Natalie, we're out of time. I want to thank Natalie Cox for being with us. Natalie, we're 100% behind this pipeline.